It's Tapped In Media, Russ, Rojo.
Yeah.
We have another special guest, but before we get to introduce him, we'd like to give a big shout out to Edwin Covarrubias.
Absolutely,
for coming on with us, and we appreciate his time, honestly.
Yeah, all the way from, was it Ecuador, right?
Yeah, was it Ecuador?
Ecuador,
Yeah,
so he was in Ecuador. Big shout out to Edwin for coming through with his spooky, scary podcast. We really appreciate multiple ones. Yeah, that
Scary Story podcast, true scary stories, and horror stories, among others.
Yeah, so thanks, Edwin, for that, for coming through and giving us a little bit of your time.
Yeah.
And I know the blurry background, we get it.
Yeah, you could blame
me,
Russ.
but I was in the middle of moving things, and I did tell you it was going to be a situation like that. So my
using that
apologies.
excuse. I I think we're in a better situation now.
Yeah.
So honestly, apologies to Edwin
for sure
on our end for our video feed.
But it still came out okay, so
it was good.
Whatever,
it was good.
Man. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Also, give us a follow on IG at @tappedin_media. That's also on YouTube. Go ahead and check that out. Now, we did hear about your request about doing a podcast page, so we're going to flip that over on the podcast page too. That will be available on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio. Now, speaking of iHeartRadio, was that good?
That was good.
Did I
that was good.
segue
That was a
that?
good segue.
Good little push on that. In the business, I guess that's what they call a tease, right? Right?
Yeah, that was good.
You're not helping me here much, but it's okay.
You're running with it. I'm letting you go.
Coming to Tapped In with us now is Garrison King. Welcome to Tapped In, brother. We appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me. That was a great introduction.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, man. We've been working on it. We have all of our stuff lined up right here. So we've been doing a little bit of research on it. And remember Nameless? We did a podcast for a while. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Nameless and Unfamous.
No, I heard of you. Yeah.
You've heard of us?
You heard of us? Yeah. We did about 125 episodes and something like that.
Well, there was more than that. Posted about 130. Not posted, I would say close to 200 or something.
Yeah, probably that. There's some in there that we were like...
I need to hear the deleted episodes.
Oh, man. Those are bad, bro.
Those are pretty bad.
Those are real bad.
You know what's funny is that we always say, oh, those were bad, but yet we let out this one episode, and the title, I kid you not, it was called Sex, Drugs, and Hairy Butts.
Yeah. So... We wanted
the most listened to episode right there.
Yeah, just use your imagination on how that one was.
Man, shout out to Dan Clark and DJ 80M1, man. Those guys.
Yeah.
Woo, 5-year run with that, man. But Garrison, we're here to talk about you because with this podcast, we decided to do more of what great people like yourself do. You've been in the industry a long time, doing for iHeartRadio as a broadcaster professionally too. And we've known you for many years.
Yeah.
And at first we were trying to decide, should we say that? Should we bring that up? And then it's like, well, I mean, we have known you for many years, and we worked with you. And you're a professional, man. You've done a lot of things. Just give us a brief rundown of what you're currently doing right now. We know that you're working at KGGI 991, and there's a bunch of other stuff that you do, and we want to bring that up. But tell us mostly about what you're doing, what you're up to right now.
So the bread and butter right now is I work for 99.1 KGGI, which is in Riverside under the iHeart Media umbrella.
Right.
Most people know Riverside from the Wayne Brady skit on Dave Chappelle, if you don't live in California. But yeah, I've been rapping for the IE for a while. So I'm an on-air personality. I work on air overnights, 12 a.m. till 6 a.m. and then on Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And then I also work with the morning show there as like their executive local affiliate producer. I like to add on titles to make it sound like a resume.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know what? Add on all those titles. You gotta add them on.
Because in the business, you know this from doing it for so many years, you kind of do wear multiple hats because you just said you do the on-air stuff and you're an executive producer for a morning show. So I totally understand where you're coming from. You should keep doing that because
not
I know
only
other
that,
people do that.
You know that a lot of the higher ups, the titles that they have, I'm like, what? Why do you even have this title? Senior Vice President of Southwest Regional Director of Programming. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. So I did that for myself.
Southwest Regional.
So I did that for myself with the morning show because I'm the producer there. and I help the Tino Cucino Morning Show, which is starting to grow nationally in syndication. So we're their first crack at the morning show, and so I'm kind of like spearheading that and helping them out with that. So it's been quite a journey. They've been on for 2 years now, but it's definitely keeping me busy.
So tell us real quick, because we know that you were producing in the mornings with ODM and
Evelyn.
Right. And then they decided to go with the Tino Cucino show. So you do stuff, obviously you send stuff to that market or to them, or I don't know where.
And my apologies, I thought it was Chino Cochino.
He did say that, and I was like, no, I think it's Tino Cucino.
My bad.
It's Tino.
Yeah. And
Tino.
then, but tell us real quick, what happened? Was it, I mean, because you guys were doing pretty good with your morning show. I do remember you did it for a number of years.
Yeah, I was there because I left LA to go work there, and I was doing that for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I think they just wanted something fresh in. ODM and Evelyn have been at KGDI they were there for a long time, and they were doing mornings for 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
And I think I saw the writing on the wall, but they had Tino on at nights, and kind of with the new format and how radio started to become more and more homogenized, where it's like we want the same talent in different markets, kind of deal. I think that's kind of what the direction that the station went with, and at the end of the day, kind of who the overlords wanted to go with.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
it was awkward for sure.
It was that time. It was coming.
Yeah, it was awkward for sure.
As to put it straight like that, it was probably an awkward time for you. No, sorry, go ahead.
So I want to take it back just a little bit.
Okay.
Before you actually came to LA, I know that there's somewhere out there where I've seen since the age of 16 you wanted to be in radio. Was that really your thing? You really wanted to be in radio since the age of 16?
Well, I was when I turned 16. So in high school, well, I'll give you the family history. Radio was kind of like the family business growing up. It's
oh, okay.
My dad worked in media growing up for a little bit. But then when I was younger, my sister was on the radio back in Indianapolis. And I thought that was the coolest thing. She did middays for the hip hop station. And then years later, she did the R&B station and the gospel station. And she was just the it girl. And that was the coolest thing for me. And then one of my brothers, he was the first one to move out to California, got an internship with Power 106. And was out there for a little bit. And at this time, I was doing radio at my high school. So I turned 16, started doing radio. High school had a radio program, which was cool, allowed us to be on air. Did mornings there for a little bit, and kind of just worked my way up from there. But yeah, that was always the dream. Always the dream.
Because you
on.
actually were at Indy's Giant 90.9. Am I correct?
90.9 WBDG
and 88.7, correct?
Yes,
WICR.
Yep, WICR. That was a jazz station for my college.
Wow.
They did jazz, and then they had a HD channel. So they had HD1, HD2, HD3. HD3 was the top 40 station that you could get some reps in for some professional work.
Right.
So that was in Indianapolis, right?
Yep.
So what made you make that move from Indianapolis out to LA? And did you do it on your own?
I did not. I mean, I mentioned before I had a brother out here already, and then the brother that you guys know, Elliot, who's still working in radio. He had moved out here, and he was doing Radio Disney and iHeart at the same time. So the summer before I moved out, it was my senior year in college, 5th year, super senior. I did an internship with Clear Channel in the marketing department with Angel. Shout out to Angel.
Shout out Angel, yep. For sure.
And so I did that for a summer, lived with Elliot for that summer, and then went back, finished up school. And then what brought me out here full time forever was the missus, the frosted side, because she went to get her master's degree at USC. So I'm like a puppy, just followed her out here and kind of been pursuing the dream ever since. So that's what got me out here. And then after that, started on street team and just kind of worked my way up from there.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that too, because the street team stuff and all the background stuff that happens, that goes into it. I don't think a lot of people realize how much hard work that takes. and literally doing the setting up the 10 by 10 tent.
It's grunt work.
Right.
It was grunt work.
The stuff y'all had us doing was ridiculous.
You're talking about like setting up a big old stage?
We should have been unionized back then.
Yeah, you know what?
There should have been like extra money being paid towards us.
Yeah.
There was, I kid you not, there was times where it was just myself and ADM building that stage and the big stage for Petros and Money at the Laker games.
So backstory on that real quick. And Garrison, the three of us, and then many other people who will probably might see this or hear this, we did do a lot of staging and for other broadcasters all out here in LA. And it was a giant stage, a 10 by 20 heavy trussing stage with decks and stuff. It was a little more of a production, and we literally did not get paid. None of us got paid enough to do that specific job. And I will constantly harp on Dave Weiss, even till this day. Like, man, you could take that thing and do whatever the hell you want with it, but I don't want to ever see it, touch it, get on it, do nothing. But man, that was hard, bro. I mean,
they got lucky. No one got hurt.
Seriously, they did. And there were many times that probably someone would have got hurt. But but back to that, like, there are little things that, I mean, big things and little things that you had to do to build up to be where you're at now. And even like, I'm sure, you want a slot where in the afternoons or whatever it is, but even trying to gain that notoriety and that, just being in the industry, it's hard. And just tell us a little bit about what you think it takes to get to that point and to be even where you're at now, because there's still obviously more growth that can happen.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially now. I feel like when you have to compete with the internet, because radio in itself is kind of a stagnated medium where it's not like a lot of growth opportunities, I feel like, because nobody's really leaving right now. But coming up, I would say I did it traditionally, in an unconventional way, because I did come from a smaller market, and I feel like if I stayed in Indiana, I probably could have got on air a lot sooner. But
they always do say that, right? And I don't mean to cut you off, but they always do say that if you want to make it in radio, you need to move your butt out to the boondocks.
Yeah,
like Indiana. No disrespect to Indiana.
No, listen. I get it. People in California, they know two places: New York and wherever they are from in California. I get it. Geography's not the top subject out here. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right, Daniel, because people will they want to train you up. Like the program directors, the bosses of the on-air stuff, they want you to train up. They don't want to just throw you on air. That's a very, very rare situation when that happens. And even still, they might, let's say Los Angeles, they might send you out to Riverside or send you out to the middle of California or San Diego to kind of work your craft a little bit, and then farm you out to other bigger markets. I had a couple colleagues that went to Charlotte, that went to Miami, that went to Philly, and these are bigger cities, but they're still if you want to get to LA, you kind of got to go through that path.
Do that market.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
There were a few people. Sorry to interrupt you there. There were a few people who did in our, the people that we worked with, who kind of didn't do much, but they did get a good crack at something in LA. And I'm not putting, and good for them. I'm not saying that in anything in the negative way, but I mean, you're right. As far as the traditional way, you did set that path, and that's going through the marketing promotions department, doing the internship, putting in the hours, working all the crappy part-time jobs that you possibly can to get to a point where, especially if you're following this passion and how intense that ride is. And what's something that you could recommend to people though who are trying to do something like that? Because now there's so many different avenues of expressing yourself in media, whether it be YouTube or Instagram or TikToks or all the digital. Tell us that path as well that leads up to that.
I think I tell a lot of people that I kind of mentor. I don't like to refer to myself as a mentor, but
but you
people
are,
that. But yeah, I always drop some gems. I always tell them to find focus in on what you want to do, because some people, a lot of people that I came up with, a lot of my peers were like, yeah, I want to be on radio, but then I would see them work and like they don't never get on the mic. They would never, you know, hang around to like learn how to run the boards. They wouldn't do the stuff that you would have to do and not necessarily get paid for, but you kind of just did it. Like it took me forever to get on as a board op, but eventually it happened. Like, I was telling somebody the other day, it's like when I first got on, I was asking like, yeah, how do I learn boards? How do I learn boards? Oh, they don't want you to do both. They don't want you to work both departments. But you know, eventually,
don't you think that's weird? That
I think it is
people
weird.
Do that? Like, I always feel like a better manager, like for me personally, a better manager wants your people to leave knowing more and doing more. Like, because then with that, it just makes you stronger as a team. Right, and I don't understand that whole concept.
I think it's just a version of gatekeeping. You'll see it a lot. Like I saw it a lot where people would be up for an opportunity, but they would be like, "Well, we don't want to. You do such a good job. We kind of just want to keep you here because no one else could do this job as good as you." And so they miss out on being on air because they produce so well. And it's like, well, that's kind of dumb. Like just raise up the next group, and if you allow them to explore different facets of the industry, then you can find, this is really good, or I can trust this person to do this. But to answer your question about what I would tell people is, find your focus, find what you like to do, and then find what you're good at, and try to manipulate it in what you want to do. If on air is what you want to do, then like get in there, talk to people. Listen to the radio. Don't just listen to your playlists, like your DSPs. Like listen to the radio, because that helps so much. Like I was one of those nerds that was driving in the car in between songs or talking up a song like to myself in the car, like just listening to the radio. And like that would just help me hit the post, like hit it right where the lyrics started and get a good sense for it, because a lot of people don't understand that when they come in. And so when I'm helping them do the air checks,
techniques to it. There's actual techniques to it.
100%. I mean, you're right about hitting the post on the front and the back. I mean, you only get 10 seconds, 15 seconds, but you can't be talking all muddy on the track, like
exactly.
That stuff that though, but that's as you learn. It's funny that you said like being in a car and doing it. I mean, till this day, I still, do that to myself.
Yeah.
Like, whatever song, it could be a Foo Fighters track or whatever, and you're still hitting that. I'm like, I want to hit that mark, and I love that. Like, it kind of, makes me feel warm inside.
Speaking of like telling people like what they need to do, as far as telling them, but you yourself, what challenges did you face while, pursuing your way into radio where you are now, and what challenges would you say you would tell other people that they're going to be facing, and how to overcome those challenges?
I think one of the things that I'm good at is being patient. And I think a lot of people can't afford that, literally can't afford that, because, what you get paid and, the amount of work you do doesn't really equal out. For me, I just had to wait a long time for a lot of different opportunities. And like Russ alluded to earlier, some people just got put on just out of nowhere. And I was like, they got hired after me, but because whoever was making the decisions maybe liked them a little bit more, or maybe they fit what they were going for a little bit better.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm about to bring up another question, but let's keep going.
So they might have fit the mold a little bit better than I did, just because of, the statistics. I feel like I saw that a lot. But it wasn't hate for me. Like I was always happy for my peers to move up. Always happy to see my friends succeed. But I would say that was always a challenge. It's like I just had to wait my turn, pay my dues, whatever. And even though I felt like I was top, even today, I feel like I'm top talent. You can put me anywhere, and I feel like I'll thrive. The other challenge is just balancing spending the amount of time you spend at the station with the rest of your life.
Sure.
Like I had a family, like obviously I was with my girl, been with my girl since, but some days you're gonna miss out on holidays, some days you're gonna miss out on celebrations.
That's the truth.
Because you gotta be at the station. I gotta run these boards. No one else is gonna be there. So I still deal with that stuff, and at this point, it's for the love of the game. Like I love radio. I love working in radio. It's still my dream job.
Right.
But I understand that can cause issues with some people for sure.
For sure, because of the sacrifices and the time that, like you were saying, that needs to be at the station. Like that, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it.
For sure.
Ro did have a question though leading to that and it's a pretty good one. Go for it.
So obviously you answered part of my question, but I did want to ask you, being that you brought up saying like, hey, maybe somebody just fit the mold better, or they just were liked a little better. Do you believe, and you don't have to answer this, but do you believe that there was favoritism back at iHeart? Like there was some favoritism being played out for certain people, and they were set in certain situations where it made them being able to grow without actually putting in the work that you, myself, and Russ did? Because I remember I started back out in 2004, 2005 at iHeart, formerly known as Clear Channel. And I put in my work. I did the late nights. I was there with Joe McDonald, may he rest in peace. You know, I did the Good Time Show with Joe Grande, Matt Money Smith, Wayne. I mean, I was doing it all. I sat down. I remember meeting Victor Brick and sitting down how he cut up, you know, all the editing. Yeah. I can't do that well. You know, I literally was grinding it out each and every day. I wouldn't get home till about 3, 4 in the morning sometimes. I even started doing the board ops at a certain point at K-Talk, now known as the Patriot. You know, so I did all I could do, put my face out there, and yet I saw other people get what I was going after, and they didn't do not even half the work that I put in.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if it's favoritism more so than what I said earlier about them just fitting the mold, but that's definitely a frustration though. I know exactly how that feels, because it's like I'm right here, like, and you questioning yourself, like, do you not mess with me? Like, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah.
Did we have a sit down?
Is it me?
Yeah, it's like, is it me? Like, what did I do? Like, I felt that a lot of times, a lot of those stations. I'm like, well, I know I'm better than them.
Yeah.
I know I'm better than them, but okay.
I do more work than them. I work harder at it.
I have all the skill
What
sets.
is it? Yeah. I see that. We do see that a lot, and I know you go through it too. And even now, because the industry has changed so much, and you know there are so many different elements to it now than it was ever before. It's not just popping on a mic and hey, let me front and sell a back of a song. There's so much more to it, because now they want you to do promotion for Instagram or TikTok, or the client is asking for a lot more, and not just Garrison King on 99.1. You know, just do your show. It's just not. I feel like you can't mail it in these days. There's no way, because you have to do more. And going back to what he was saying about all the work that you did put in and you get overlooked, it becomes frustrating. And how do you manage to be like, okay, I'm going to bounce back from that?
Like I said earlier, it's just patience. It's just patience, and trying to have like a decent attitude about it. Try to be supportive, because you know your time's going to come. And you don't want to hate. And then also, like, you guys know this, like, you never know when someone's going to end up somewhere. Like, I had someone that I worked with, he was a board op, and he got overlooked a lot, and then eventually got his turn to be a PD in a different market. And he's bouncing around, growing as a PD, building up his clout as a program director. And I believe he's going to be like one of the top dudes here in a few years. But he was had the same frustrations, like, yo, why are they overlooking me? Like, I feel like I'm putting in this work and doing this thing, but now he's making decisions. So it's just a matter of a combination of things, patience, and again, you got to do it for the love of the game. Like, if you don't love this thing, it's not going to feel worth it, because
I kind of go ahead.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to get frustrated. You're just going to, like, your mental is just going to decline swiftly, because you see that and then you're questioning yourself, like, yo, what am I doing wrong? Why am I still doing this? I'm not even getting paid that much, and they're not even giving me opportunities. And it's like, if you don't love this thing, it's not gonna feel worth it.
Hitting all the right spots, bro.
Yeah,
honestly, exactly know what you're saying.
Yeah, honestly, I'm glad that you said that, because it does resonate with me, because I was one of those that ended up falling out. I had my kid who was born, and then you know, I'm now growing a family, so I'm over here trying to, you know, chase a dream that dream just kept feeling like it was getting further and further away from me. So at a certain point, I was just like, I gotta make more money. $13.75 wasn't cutting it, bro.
Yeah,
You know?
no, that's a big part of it, especially as a dad. Like you have this internal pressure of like, you know, I gotta provide for my family, and I cannot do this on less than minimum wage. So
Absolutely,
it's definitely difficult.
So yeah, I ended up leaving, unfortunately. You know, I left for greener pastures. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out because the pandemic hit and I was terminated. So that's a whole nother story in itself. But, you know, I'm glad that you're actually doing what you do, because most people, going back to what we said, where, you know, you have to move out from the big markets. But you stood here, and, you know, you're in a rather big market out here in Riverside.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not LA, but you're still out here. You didn't have to move too far. So, you know, what helped you get over here?
Out to Riverside?
Riverside.
Yeah.
Well, it was just connecting with the peers that I was working at the time. Freddie Rivera, who worked at Kiss FM,
I remember
came from Riverside.
Yeah.
He worked there, and then I feel like after he came, that kind of started a chain reaction of people double dipping between markets. Next one was Ashley Caprice, who I was close with. She started working out in Riverside, and, you know, I just talked to her, had her listen to air checks, and that was always my thing. Like, I put air checks or demos together and be like, yo, can you listen to this? Can you listen to this? Hey, can you give me some notes on this? And just talking to the talent, and then occasionally the PDs when they would, you know, make the time to see me. But just talking to the talent, and like that gave me enough like confidence to be like, okay, this is good. I can send this stuff out. And eventually sent one out, didn't hear anything back for like months. Like nothing, no thanks, I'll give it a listen. No, you sound good, but keep working. Nothing at all. And randomly got an email saying, hey, I listened to your air check, thought it was really good. Let's hop on the call. And
That's awesome.
that was Rob Scorpio. So shout out to Rob Scorpio for taking the time to listen. And then, you know, January 2016, got my first on-air shift doing a Friday night Get Down on 99.1 KGJ, the Mix Show.
Get down.
I do remember that time you making those transitions out to the Riverside market, because we worked together in LA for a while, and I mean, I was so happy for you because of all the hard work and dedication that you did put into it. And I know that you were just doing as much as you can, because not only were you constantly in the streets doing the promotions and, you know, working with the clients, you were also in the studio a lot. Because we'd run into each other in the hallways and at iHeart LA, you know, in the studios. You would do stuff with your brother,
And then the merger.
and then the merging happened.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff. So I love hearing, like, you know, where it leads up to where you're at today. But aside from all the broadcast stuff and all the things that you do for media, right now, let's talk about being a father, a husband, you know, and I know you're a gamer. You do Muay Thai, right? So let's talk about stuff like that, because that's what also interests us too. Where do you find time to do that? I mean, working so much, you know what I mean?
Well, the great thing about working with the morning show is like you're done at like 11 a.m. Like you start stupid early, but you're done by like 11 noon at the latest if you got some extra things to go on. Like, not counting like if I may have to do like an appearance or something for a client. But so typically the day was go into the station, go to work, get out, go to the gym and work out, whether that be Muay Thai or weightlifting, whatever, running, whatever. Then get the kid from school, do the homework, and that's kind of like the routine. Like I realize I am a slave to ritual and routine. Like I love a good routine. I don't have to deviate too much. Like I know what I got to do, and I can do it at the utmost efficiency. And so I don't know if that what makes me good at radio or not, but it's definitely something that is good for me to make it work, because wifey, the bread and butter, bringing home the bacon, you know what I mean? So while she's doing her thing, working hard, she don't have to worry about, is the kid okay? Like she knows I'm gonna be and I'm a homebody too, so that makes it even easier.
That's cool.
Like,
I feel that. I love it.
So she don't have to worry about, is the kid gonna be all right? You know, do I have to plan this? Do I have to leave work early? Any of that. So it's really, really cool for the schedule because I could go in, do my job, work in my passion that I've wanted to my whole life, and then go be a dad, be a husband and stuff like that with like the rest of the day. So it still leaves a lot of room to balance.
Shout out to the King
And I'm going to say this right now. So you have a young daughter who, how old is she now?
She is 6.
She's 6, so she's a year younger than my son. My daughter's 15. His daughter is
my
now
kid's
grown and, you know, living on her own. But it's crazy how, you know, you see your daughter, and I know you're seeing her now, and do you ever in the back of your mind just keep thinking like, I'm going to have to do all I can to make sure she's very well protected? Because that's how I was, and I still am like that with my daughter.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like when we're out and about, I'm like in heightened sense mode, like ready to step in at a moment's notice.
That's why he took on Muay Thai.
Ready to apply Muay Thai.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her into it now. She got a nice little cross.
Yeah, see? Yeah. I took in, you know, I put my daughter, she started first at Muay Thai before I did. So she's taking it back on, and she's doing the whole Explorers program. I mean, it's crazy how quick they grow, and now, you know, she's doing these things that I never would have expected, and just seeing her do these things. So, you know, like I said, it's going to be quick. You know, and then eventually she's going to start talking back to you.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Being a stubborn little girl.
I'll tell you what, guys. My daughter's 27 years old, and as you get older, it still doesn't change. You still feel the same heightened awareness
of course.
Because they're your babies, man. That just never ends. And you know what? Being a father really does change how you are and how you see the world, and just your hustle. It just changes your hustle. And I know that both of you guys are good dads, and that drive is just different. And especially when you have a passion like broadcasting or radio or media or whatever it is, because sometimes you don't get paid a lot, and you know, we all know this, and it's the truth, and they see it, and you're constantly worried about what the hell am I going to do? I got to take care of this kid now. Like, you know what I mean? You're looking to me for advice? You know, I can barely run my own life. What the hell's going on here, man? Seriously.
Are you still doing Muay Thai?
Well, they changed up the schedule at the gym, at this gym that I go to. But so they don't have the afternoon class right now. So they only have it in the morning or late at night, which is kind of like inconvenient for me to make. So I'll do like sparring every now and again.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to mention that you should go and try out where I was, training at. I haven't gone back because it's been hard for me too. I'm working multiple jobs right now, so it's been quite a roller coaster for me. But I think you should check it out or look at their schedules. Maybe it might work out for you better.
Yeah, we got to set up the pay-per-view.
I know. I did tell him one time. Like, hey, let's spar.
Oh, dude.
I mean, I've been off of it, but I trained.
Let's just go 1 for 1, kicking 81's legs. Like you get one side, I'll get the other side.
He remembers that.
I'm all about it.
I remember that video. Yeah, that boy crippled.
That's awesome, dude. So you also the Muay Thai thing. I know you're a hardcore gamer. We've talked about that many times, and then you were doing stuff with Elliot for a little bit, and Elliot's your brother out there in Atlanta?
He's in Atlanta.
He's in Atlanta, right?
He's in Atlanta.
And you guys were doing a thing called Sainted, which was pretty good. I got a chance to check out a few on your IGs at Garrison King. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah, right, at Garrison King. And hit that on Instagram. Also, Hot Take Tuesdays. We wanted to talk to you about it because we only have a few minutes left. We wanted we like it. I mean, and if you guys, those are listening or watching, go ahead and head on over to Garrison King on Instagram. And Hot Take Tuesdays is great. Talk about being a habit of a ritual.
And if you're wondering when those are, it's on Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday.
So, and let him know what your hot takes might be, because now that's our question. Do you just come up with your own hot takes, or do you take that from a listener or somebody that sent it to you and say, hey man, like you should do this about, I don't know, whatever, the Lakers and the Pacers?
Well, when I started it was just, like when they rolled out that feature of asking questions on Instagram, it was like, okay, let me do this. And then once I realized a lot of people had some really wild things to say, it kind of just worked itself out. Like I didn't really have to do any work. Like there's some days that are slower, but they just come up with these crazy takes, and basically the whole bit is just me reacting to them, and it's really a fun time, and it's really cool because it's it's time sensitive. Like it doesn't live anywhere else but on my IG stories. And I'll probably figure out a way to change that. But for right now, I'm just having fun with it. And I think a lot of people have fun with it.
You should take that to a YouTube channel. Like, I mean, with all these people doing all this creation right now, all this digital content. I mean, it's such a...
I mean, I'm sure it'll work out on TikTok before it gets banned.
You know? You already got all the right equipment. You already got the right platforms on different ends. You should totally take that into a YouTube channel and take it from there. You never know. I mean, I'm just, because we're trying something different because we did the podcast and we did that for many years, and now we're like, okay, let's try this video content stuff.
Our whole thing right now is, I kind of look back at it when we started. We started back in 2012, 2013 as a actual podcast. Before podcasting was podcasting, it was on Blogspot, and we were called the Red Alert Show. And so we were doing that. And unfortunately, they did the merger, and he was just too busy. I moved on, and we tried doing the NAU thing, 5 years, and now we're doing this. I don't know if it's like a full circle. We're like, hey, you guys got this going on, and hopefully this works out for us because
it's going pretty good.
This is probably.
I love to see it. I love seeing you guys still banging out the content because
so this
really
content,
cool.
Our content is basically about people like yourself that pursued whether it's radio, entrepreneur, whether it's YouTubing, and being successful at it.
We did a Muay Thai fighter. We had a fighter on already, and that was pretty cool. We're working on a couple other ones, but
we have a digital creator who has about close to 500K followers and he's huge. So we got him, lined up next. So, which is a good thing. Little by little, we're growing our guests, and eventually we want to bring on, bigger influencers. I guess you would say, right?
Yeah, because we're inspired by guys like you, and even when I see like James, James Andre Jefferson Jr. extended name, and even like and. Even like Bootleg Kev or those guys, like they keep going hard at it. Nico, I was all those dudes, they just keep going. And yours, of course, your story always interests us because we know your hustle, we know your grind, and it doesn't stop.
And you're one of the guys that made it. I mean, honestly, you're one of the guys that made it. You and EJ.
Yeah.
Shout out to EJ made it in radio.
Yeah, shout out to EJ.
Proud of him too. He came a long way.
Grinded it out,
dude, and he's lined up in our list of what we're doing with this new
successful people.
Yeah, this new
you guys
podcast.
are successful.
Yeah, because not a lot of people get an opportunity to crack a mic like that.
For sure.
I mean,
I like EJ's story too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That guy's awesome. Hey, Garrison, will you stick around for us for a little bit longer? Okay. Yeah. So we're talking with Garrison King. He's heard Monday through Friday overnights on 99.1 KGGI here in Riverside. And if you could always just go to the website too and check out his profile. He does a lot of stuff on there. He does Hot Take Tuesdays on his Instagram at Garrison King.
We got a Hot Take Tuesday for you.
That's right. Ooh. I don't know if he's going to still be doing Saint It with his brother because I haven't seen anything newer.
We've put it on pause right now. Elliot got really, really busy. So cool. You can still see I Saint It on YouTube. Just Elliot King plus I Saint It in the search bar.
Nice. So we're gonna take a real quick break, and then we're gonna come back and talk it up with Garrison a little bit more right here on Tapped In Media. Check us out on YouTube, and of course the podcast page is coming soon.